Hi, and welcome back. This is Gmax 1.2 for the beginning modeler, video number 42, Build Virtual Cockpit, part 3. The objective in this video is to refine the VC walls and add rudder pedals. You will recall in the last video we built the infrastructure, copied it out of the fuselage, pulled it into a new scene, and then kind of built the glare shield and the panel, and pushed this wall out from this point, from this line here forward, to give us kind of a footwell to have room to add our rudder pedals. And with that done, let's get on with the task at hand here. First thing we want to do is refine the walls for visual interest and realism and functionality, actually. So let's jump right into it. First thing we want to do is there is a rail here under the canopy, which is a stringer, and then there's an open area that shows the formers through here. So we want to build that into this wall to add some visual interest, and it gives us a place to hang some things, and it will make a big difference in the cockpit in terms of lighting and contrast and those kinds of things. So it's a nice feature to add. We're going to ignore back facing here, and we're just going to select the 3 polys on either side of the cockpit. Then we go to the right side, and we're going to use the slice tool. Slice plane, I guess, is the proper name. Move over here and rotate it 90 degrees, one way or the other, doesn't matter. Looking at the Z coordinate at the bottom. Hello. There we go. Okay, let's move this into position. It's going to be visually, that's all I can say. It's going to be something like this. So we're going to do the slice. I'm going to drop down to about here to create an opening. That should be good. Do a slice and then turn that off. Now we have an area that we're going to want to extrude in local mode, so they extrude in opposite directions. And when we do this extrude, remember there's a fuselage wall out here that's kind of curved. We don't want to go out too far on the top because we'll be going past that. So we'll, once we get this extruded, kind of shape it to the where we think the fuselage wall might look realistic from the inside. So let's go to extrude, and we want to be in local mode. We'll just pull on that, get it out there a little ways, not too far, and then we'll make our adjustments. Okay, so you can see we're adding some visual interest there. Let's go into vertex subobject mode, and let's select these outer vertices. See if we got all 4 of them on both sides. Should have 8 up here. Yeah, we got them. So we're going to actually just use our non-uniform scale tool to push those out a little deeper. Kind of go with the curvature of the fuselage. And our top ones, I think well, they may be okay, but maybe just to be safe. It's not a big deal now, but just so that you're aware that you got to be cognizant of what you're dealing with that you can't see right now. Maybe we'll pull those in just a little bit. If I can find the other. There it is. So we have 8 there. Okay. So let's get back around here to the back and pull those in just a little. Hard to see from that angle, so yeah, that's probably okay. Alright, so we've got the shelf, or kind of the recess, which would simulate this is built-in skin inside the cockpit, but this is fuselage skin out here. So now let's select an edge. I'm just using this as a way to create polys here. So we're going to select this edge right here. We're going to chamfer. See if I can get this up here and have access to more stuff down here. We're going to chamfer this, make it wide enough that we can maybe grab and make a bit of a former out of this. So we've got that poly, and that's the purpose of that chamfer, because we're going to extrude that up to about here. Okay, and then let's shape it so it conforms with the side here. So we want to grab this now and pull it in. And if you look here, hello, I must be on the wrong. Let's undo that. Get into a better angle here so I can see what I'm grabbing. All right, so we'll do it about like that. And let's get our height. Well, I also want to pull this in. There's two ways they do these formers on the inside. Sometimes they come up and overlap on the inside, and sometimes they stay on the inside of the cockpit versus up behind it, up behind that rail. We're just going to tuck it in behind it. See if I can pick up. I only got one of them. Make sure we grab. Oh, I see. Now we have to. Okay. Let's just grab that and pull that in. Let's see if we left. Can I see that? Yes. Let's kill that poly since it's not seen there. Just delete that one and that one because we don't need it. Can't be seen. No sense wasting it. Alright, so now let's select the three polys that remain. Maybe one on the bottom. No, it's not, because that belonged to the shelf. Alright, and we're going to detach them to make a former that we can copy for the other locations we want these. So now that we have a former, let's set the pivot, centered object. Do this with every object you create. And now we're going to copy that. That automatically renames it former 02. Now let's just move that, kind of split the difference here, and we'll copy that again. Former 3. We'll move that down here somewhere. It's about right. And we'll make one more. Kind of give us got to be consistent with these. So about equal distance there. You might want to try to be a little more precise, but you're really not going to notice it. But anyhow, we got those four created, so let's select those four, copy them for the other side, and once we have them, we can then mirror on the X, which is what we want. And yeah, now let's collapse that mirror in the stack, because we don't want that. Just makes it more confusing to deal with. We're going to slide that over to the other side. Look how fast this is going, folks, and that's just the way it goes once you get the hang of it. So we now have some visual interest in the cockpit, like that. Alright, so while we're right here, let's select all of them. And let's link them to whatever we called that. And I think we need to change the name to something other than fuselage. Let's call it either Cockpit or BC, or let's call it BC Cockpit. Alright, so that'll be our high order, and everything else is going to link to that. What else we have in this that needs to be the panel? Needs to be linked to that. Just keep our hierarchy fairly straight here, and we'll be in good shape. And speaking of the panel, this is a little shallow here. Well, see if I can grab all these vertices without. Let's pull this down. This should go down to about half of that. Usually the way it is. Well, that's not quite half, but that'd be good for now. It gives us some room to work as we create the pedals. Okay, let's go to rear view here. And let's create some pedals. What are we going to do to create pedals? Well, let's go to the right side. And grab a cylinder, any size or shape to get started here. Alright, and we want this to be 6-sided. That's good. It doesn't have to be, you're not going to see one of these, you'll see the others, but they're going to be smoothed and then it'll look nice and round once we get done with it. And we can use 4 height segments, that's fine. For radius, we need about a 0.007 maybe. Ooh, it looks small. Let's see here. Let's pull this up into the cockpit here so we can discern its overall appearance. We're going to work on the left pedal here. Looks a little small. We try it a touch larger. Let's go to 0.9 or 9. Let's see how that works. If it doesn't work, we'll scale it. So, not a big deal. Alright. Alright, what we're going to do now is just convert that to poly. And we're going to ignore back facing. We'll come in here and grab a couple polys. And we're going to extrude. If I can get a hold of it here. Well, what did I do? Oh, I grabbed a poly instead of got on the selected one. There we go. About right there. Now, before we continue, let's try to get these things proportioned the way I want them to be. Let's grab all these polys. Let's try that again. Without ignore back facing, or we'll just create a mess. Yeah, it'll be alright, I think. Let's see, now let's pull it all back together just a little. Alright. Alright, with that part done, tell you what, let's just invert this whole thing. Make this the bottom and that the top. It makes it a little easier for me to work. 190. Looking for actually I'm looking for 180. Duh. Anything close is fine. Center. Centered object line to world scale. Duh. Okay. Let's pull this down. We're going to make that the bottom. And I'm going to pull these up a little bit. Excuse me. And then we're going to select all these polys except the top. And we're going to clone them. That's where I want to be. And that's fine for now. Let's go grab object 1, pull it to the top, about like that. And then we're going to, let's see, I may have some holes in this. Yeah, I do. Let me fix those holes before we do an extrude here. I can do that with the border real quick. Border and cap. Alright. Now we can go back and do the rear. Select these polys. Oops, not. I just want the ones there and these. And I want to extrude local to fatten up these ends because that's their attach points. Kind of like that. No big deal. Just, this is kind of all in the mind's eye. You're just kind of designing it to look like it. You think it might ought to look. Who knows? I've seen pictures, but you forget. Anyhow, this is just an exercise to show you how to go about doing such things. So these pedal levers are attached to this bar that sits up here and pivots. So, oops, I need to freeze that. So hopefully I didn't move it. Yeah, I did move it. That's why you always back up, just to make sure you did not move something you didn't intend to. Just freeze that as well. Really don't need anything happening here so let's freeze all the formers. Just a good practice. And these are two objects. I'm going to link the bottom one to the top one. This is the one we're going to animate for the pedals to go back and forth, and this is just going to swing back and forth. So that's the way this is going to work. Now we need to actually build a pedal, so I can show you how quickly you can do that. Let's see. We're back facing. Alright, let's go here. Let's just extrude. Give this about 3 or 4 extrudes. Another one. And one more. Oops. Blew that. Okay. Now we can shape that. Okay, we're where we need to be there. So we're just going to pull this in, start shaping this pedal like so. Give a little bit of curvature, not much. Up towards the toe here. Kind of like that. We're going to pull down. Oops. Pull down these. About like that, I guess. Pull these down a little bit. Push it out just a smidgen. Now you can make this a little less clunky if you want to, your choice. Oops. 2. You can do that by going to the side and hitting the edges and just chamfering if you want it better than that. Let's see, we got 2. Let's go to ignore back facing. I want to try to put a hole in here, see if we can do that. By using the vertex chamfer. I don't think that's something we've done yet. Yeah, maybe this will work. And then we go to the edges. Kind of try to round that up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you get the idea. I'm going to do this one too. Maybe a little better appearance out of it. Cool, that's good. At least good for now. Now let's grab this poly right here and extrude it inward to give it some depth. Let me just delete that poly because we don't need it anymore. Cool. So now we have kind of, sort of, a pedal. Gotta ignore back. Oops. Select and do no harm. Let's get rid of all these polys we don't need. Might be able to see those on the top side. I'm going to delete all of these. Delete everything you don't need. You'll do the same thing up here. I guess yeah, that's showable. Let me just talk about this. A lot of times when you create these end caps or these deals and do the extrude, you end up with a bunch of vertices and polys in here that you don't really need. And the best thing to do, you got 3, 6, 8, 9 polys right here. If you delete them and just go select the border and cap it, you just replaced 9 polys with 1. So it's a big deal. You need to do those kinds of things. Well, let's see if we got 6 there. Okay. Border, cap. Alright. So now we have some semblance of a pedal. You could actually make that hole bigger if you wanted by just selecting these vertices and scaling them. Now the last thing I would do here, probably if you wanted, get off of that. I'm going to get back to here, select these vertices. Actually, let's see, select this group here. Oops, gotta be careful that ignore back facing there. I want to move this back a little bit. I want to move these back too, but not so far, not as far. Oops, I got another vertex up here. Let's undo that. How did I grab that? Let's see, did I have that the first? No, okay. It was a wild grab. Okay, so I'll give it a little bit of curvature. So that actually needs to be rotated. There we go. This may be a little deep, I don't know. Let's pull it back a little. Okay, you get the idea. Now let's select all that stuff and clear the smoothing and re-smooth it. Now, we don't want this part up here to be smoothed in with this bar, so let's just select all these polys down here. Just the ones in the center here. I don't want the ones on the end. Like that. We're going to give them their own smoothing group. Any of them is fine. So, now that you're done with that, it looks like that whole bar is round. This is flat, so that's what you do with that. Now, let's reset this pivot to center, line with world, reset scale, and go to the back view here. And let's just move this over where we think it would go. Somewhere about there. Maybe a little more. For the big guys, the big legs. 180, okay, that's good. Alright, let's just should have renamed them first. Notice this X is showing at 0. Well, oops, we know that it's not 0 because here's the grid line. So remember back before we had to move it a little bit and undo it to get the X value to show up. And once you fix that, then you can put it over on the right side just by removing the minus sign. And there you have two nicely created pedals and former showing in your cockpit wall. So we've started with some visual interest here. Now you could also, if you wanted, come down here and do another slice down here and reseed this wall back towards the fuselage wall. And that would give you another shelf here to set your boxes for instruments and so forth, or switch panels and what have you on if you wanted to do that. How much time are we into this? 25 minutes. So, there's a lot of things you could do just to add visual interest and functionality if you want to do it. Not saying that these are shaped perfectly, but you get the idea. You have to go by whatever pedals you have in there. Sometimes the pedals are in the floor, and sometimes they're hanging from the ceiling. Sometimes they're on a rod that goes back into the back panel here. So at least 3 different ways that those things are animated. But in the cockpit, when you're sitting in this cockpit, you're going to be looking down on this stuff. And so these are probably low, because usually you cannot see that top bar. So these are going to be up like that. Of course, no wonder you have to be back like this, and then down about here, I guess. So now when you're sitting in the cockpit, you're just going to barely see them. So that's the way you want it, typically. Assuming that the panel comes down similar to this, and the pedals are just up off the floor, because you got to have room for the heel below the pedal. Alright, now let's name these things correctly here so that we can animate them. I'm not sure I gave you guys a link to this run script here. What? Object, Mac script, run script. Where's my? I'm in the wrong. How did I get out of there? Let's see. I can pick it up real quick here. Scripts. Yeah, there was our tag tool. That's what I'm looking for. Keyframe names, and I'm looking for the rudder pedals. It's that right there. When you click on that, it changes the name of your object right there. So we're going to enhance that with a _01, because we got to have a second one here of the same name. So we come down and click on lever pedals, left, right. We've got that. So we're going to add 02. For Gmax does not allow same name. So once that is done, you can close that script panel. So now we have pedals and we have proper names, and they are ready to be animated. So how do you animate pedals? And pedals are animated back and forth. So in the middle position, they're animated from frame 0 to 100, and the middle position is 50. So what we do first is, let's go to the left side here. I usually like to work from the left side for whatever reason, I don't know. And we're going to rotate these. First of all, let's position them a little better here. Right here, give us plenty of swing room. Alright, and well, we've got these 2 selected. Well, I can't link them because the other things are frozen. So we'll do what we started out doing. Let's select the one on the left, and we're going to push it. We're going to rotate it. So we are centered here with our pivot. Get on the local pivot here. And we're going to rotate that back to, how many degrees? We look at this, go 25 degrees. Back. I want to rotate the other one 25 forward. One of them's a push and one of them's kind of a pull, so 25 degrees forward. When we animate these, are animated like the same except in different directions. So now we have 2 pedals in their proper positions ready to be animated. So let's set up the keyframes. As I've shown you in the earlier videos, we'll click on the motion panel here. We're going to create a rotation key at frame 0. We're going to move to frame 50 with a position key. That will be a straight up and down. we're going to go to 100 with another position key. Okay, and on the other side, same thing, as we'll do it while we're here. Position key and position key. Okay, now they are ready for animation. So let's get and make sure we're in rotate and local coordinate mode, and let's go to animate. Let's go to 50, and let's rotate that to 25 degrees to center it up. And let's go to 100, and give it another 25 degrees. Looking at the X coordinates at the bottom. There we go. Alright, so that left pedal is now animated. Let's do the same for the right pedal in the opposite direction. Click on animate, go to 50, rotate it 25 degrees, go to 100, give it another 25 degrees. There we go. Success. Looky here, looky, looky, looky. Aren't we having a good time? Okay, so there we have it. We have visual interest added to the walls. We've got the panel resized, and we've got rudder pedals in place and animated. Now, if you were building for FSX, remember that you're supposed to map parts before you animate them. Do not animate until you have mapped. In FS9, it doesn't matter. Or FS8, it doesn't matter. You can do it either way you want. But in FSX, you have to do all your texturing or mapping for textures before you animate. Alright, so that's going to wrap this video. It's 32 minutes, so we've accomplished what we set out to accomplish, which was to add visual interest and realism and functionality to the panels. And you'll see what I mean about functionality later, because we're going to be hanging stuff off of this shelf, or placing stuff up in the shelf. We've created the pedals, and we've animated the pedals, so we are making some progress here. Now later, we can clean up and we can optimize and we can eliminate a lot of excuse me, extra polys here, but we're not worried about that right now. We're leaving things in place because we might want to use the edges, to help us build more stuff. So we got to build more stuff. And of course, you can always use slices or cuts or whatever to add them back if you don't have them where you need them, when you need them. But for right now, we're not in any hurry to optimize. We just want to build efficiently. So we're trying to stay productive, and that's what we're going to do. So there you have it. We've achieved our objective, and that kind of gives us a wrap for this video. Thanks for joining. I hope it was instructional. Hopefully you can carry some of this forward, and you can see how easy it's going. Hopefully it'll continue going that easy, so we can just have more fun, right? All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. Have a good day.